All right, we got a project to start. We're going to take this diamond, we're going to put it in this head, which I'm going to put on this ring after I put a hammer finish on this ring. So in order to do that, because right now everything's true and square, I think I'm going to put my hole in here, because if you look right here on the bottom, see this little peg right here? What's going to happen is I'm going to drill a hole in the ring. This peg will fit in it, so when I solder it, it gives you a really good stable joint. So let's find where I'm going to set this head. All right, so that's called the hall mark. So let me mark it with a Sharpie here. And the reason I do that is if I put it on the bottom and put the stone on the top, if the ring ever has to be sized, you'll cut the hall mark out. So I want to move it over to the side like that, and then I want to set my head somewhere around here. All right, let me show you how we do that. All right, I'm going to take a pair of dividers and I'm going to scribe a line. Then I'm going to turn the ring over and I'm going to scribe a line. And for the record, I have never in my life actually gotten it correct. Usually it's something like, since I've already got the line, I'm good with it. Usually it'll be like a line here and a line here, and then you go between them, but since I got lucky. So now I'm just going to take a little bitty burr on that center line and drill me a little pilot hole, a little pilot divot. So now let's take this little bitty drill bit, and what's tricky here is I got to keep my hands super steady, because if I wiggle them and I break that drill bit off inside there, it's going to cost me several days to get it out. I have to dissolve it out. So this little tiny drill has to go through this big thick band and not break. And it's 50-50, look at that, woo, all the way through. So now what's important about that is now that I have a hole all the way through the ring, if I'm doing my next size up and I break it, I've got a hole on the back side, I can punch it out. So that first drill is the important one. Let's take that hole up just a little bit, make it a little bigger. And I'm going to do this probably 3 or 4 times. Why I don't like to do one drill hole the size I want is because if I get off of the line left to right, I can't correct it. But if I'm going up a little bit at a time, I can. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come in here and kind of sand this down a little bit. I'm going to rescribe that line. And if you look real close, and I mean real close, you'll see the hole is slightly on this side of the line. So I want to pull it just a little bit to this side. So my next size drill bit, I'll do that. Going to get it started, and I'm going to put pressure to the left. And hope, oh, it's getting hot. Get some. It is hot. Now, it looks like I'm pretty dang close. Will this fit yet? Boy, it's close. One more. Okay, so here's my last drill hole. And once again, I'm going to pull it just slightly left. And I don't really care if this goes all the way in. Actually, I prefer it didn't. See the gap? Let me get some tweezers. See the gap here to here? That's good. And so what's going to happen is now I have a hole in the ring. So because I'm going to literally beat the crap out of this with a hammer in a minute. And so it will deform the edges a little bit, but now I know I've got a hole dead center. So when I go back and reset the head and do everything, that our diamond will be centered up. Because I'm getting ready to beat the crap out of this ring, that I need to soften the metal and I need to do what they call anneal it. So here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start heating it up. And I'm going to bring it to red hot. And in a nutshell, in the scientific world, this is called taking the molecules back to an amorphic state, which basically means the ring will be malleable, which means when I beat on it, it will change. All right, hang on. Let's get it red hot. Now with gold, it doesn't matter if you air cool or quench it in water, the results are the same. The metal gets softer. All right, let's go to red hot. Now we'll just hold it at red hot for a second, let those molecules move around and do whatever molecules do when they move around. All right, we're just gonna let her air cool. All right, now to go to the next step on this ring, it's just a flat 14 karat band and we want a hammer finish on it. So it is as simple as putting it here, taking a hammer, and hitting it until I'm done hitting it. All right, so I'm at a stopping point in working on all of this, and it's time to get back on our hammered band. So, and if you'll get right in here, that you can see we now have a texture on it, but I think it needs to be a little heavier. So once again, I'm going to find a starting point, and that's another reason why I kind of wanted to drill the hole in it, because it shows a stopping and a starting point. So I'm just going to go around this direction, and I'm just going to do this some more. So we'll see what it looks like in a minute. We're back on this hammered band that when we first started with it, it fit perfectly. It was a size 8. But when you put something on a mandrel and you beat it with a hammer, look where it's at now. It's supposed to be up here, but it increased in size. And I kind of figured that was going to happen, so here's how we take it back to an 8. First thing, there's the hole in the center, which remember, that's where our head's going to be, so this is the bottom of the ring. So the first thing I want to do is come in here and get me a good straight line. Okay, like that. Now, and if you'll look out here, with our ring mandrel, see if you can see this gauge right here. All right, we're going to go down one size, so I'm going to take a pair of dividers here. And you'll see there's one size right there. Now, let's come back over to here. Now we've scribed a line, so I want to come just inside that line right there. And now I'm going to remove this piece right in the middle. So let's flux our joint. Let me reach across and grab this solder. It will put it underneath so you can watch the solder flow. See it float all the way across the joint.
The seam where we soldered it. So what I'm going to do first is take this rubberized abrasive wheel and just kind of knock the highlights off of it. Just barely like that. Then we are going to put it back on our mandrel. We're going to get our hammer back out. And we're going to blend that dude right back in. Look at that, right back to an 8. We'll just do a little cleanup and polish and it will be completely invisible. Alright, our next step is to set this head into the hole we drilled with that little peg, and then the diamond will set into here. So, I've got it mostly set up, so now what I'm going to do is force it down here. Whoa, did I get that perfect the first time? Holy cow, that never happens. Alright, if you look straight down it, I want to make sure that this prong and this prong are at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. What do you think, Anna? Are they? I'm looking at it from a different angle, so if I have to adjust it, let me know.
Turn it slightly this way, like very slightly.
This way? Okay.
Very tiny. That's perfect.
Alright, now, look, I'm going to turn this in 360 degrees, and you're looking to see if it's tilted left or right, up or down. I don't know, what do you think? Did I get it?
I think it looks good.
Alright. Alright, well, give me a second, we'll set up for installing it permanently. Alright, I'm going to do something I don't do very often, but right there, I'm just going to laser that. I'm going to tack it, the two together with my band, or with my laser welder. I'll show you why here in a second. Okay, now, what I'm going to do is I am going to solder that. Now, why I laser tacked it with my laser, was because, watch this bubble right there. When the flux bubbles, that can cause your parts to shift, and I didn't want it to shift because I had it right where I wanted it. So with that little bitty laser tack, that just holds it enough. But if I ever had to take it out, I could heat the solder up, twist the head. It's such a small little connection, it won't affect ever having to take it out if I have to. So now, I'm going to put the solder on the bottom. And then when it starts to flow just like that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this ring over. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is bring that solder where I want you to be looking, is right where the head and the ring attach. That's where I'm going to try to make the solder come up. There, see that? See how the solder just flowed through there? So now it's held by the peg, and now it's held around the base. So I'll just kind of finish moving the solder around, and we'll have a really, really good solid head and ring connection.
Okay. All right. So what I want you to notice is right there where the head and the ring connect. Remember, there was a small gap there, and that has now been filled in with solder, which gives us a really, really strong bond between the head and the actual ring. All right, we're getting ready to set this diamond, so let's weigh it first. 3.01 carats. All right, first I want to show everybody that the burr and the angle of the diamond are the same. So we're going to use this burr to actually cut a seat for that diamond to sit in. All right, so what's going to happen here, the diamond, because it's a 3-carat diamond, it's bigger than the biggest burr that I have. I just don't set enough of them to have a burr that goes up that big, but it doesn't matter. So normally, right in here, and if you look in here, normally the burr would touch all 6 prongs, but you can see there's a little warble room. So what I'm going to do is just go in and cut each prong individually, but to get the height correct, I know about where I want it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to put a line on my burr. So now everything is going to get cut to that exact same depth. So here's how we do it. All right, let's see if this thing sits in here now. It does. All right, let me just do a little cleanup on this and then we'll go ahead and set it. All right, let's get all these little burrs off of here and keep cleaning. All right, something that concerns me just a little bit that I'm going to address is because of the size of the diamond, we used a head as low as we could get, but it's still a pretty tall head. But the bottom of the diamond, the little point down there, it's called the cullet, it's real close to the bottom of that mounting, and I don't want them to touch. So I'm just going to take a little round burr here, and I'm going to go in there and cut me a nice little divot to give that cullet plenty of room to not touch. Now, cleaning up your tool marks is a whole lot easier before the diamond is set, so we're going to go ahead and take advantage of that and just kind of trim this up and clean it up a little better. Okay, now the seats are cut, now we have to start moving those prongs over the metal. And because this is such a big stone, I'm going to show you a little trick. Oops. What I'm going to do is pre-bend two of them. If you look right there, these two prongs here and here, I pre-bent them. And why I did that is now I can come in on the other side, and when I try to bend it, the stone won't fly out the other side. All right, so now we're just going to keep moving metal here for a little bit, so give me a second. All right, we almost made a minor mistake. This diamond has a laser inscription on the edge of it, which just has a matching certification number that tells you what it is, its quality, its origins, and all of that. And so I put a little black Sharpie mark on it now, and I usually do that before because you want the entire inscription, if possible, to be between two prongs, not under a prong, so at any point in the future you're able to go in and actually put it under a microscope and read the specs on the diamond. So, all right, now we've got that corrected, so now let's keep tightening. All right, now I'm just kind of checking everything for level. Everything's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy here. All right, I'm going to draw something for you just so you can see, because it's a little hard to see, it's so small. But when I'm finished and that prong is down on that diamond, there's going to be no room between the diamond and the prong. So basically, trying to file this is real tough. So right now I am, tell you what, let me switch colors, one that might work here. So right now, I am about right here, that there's a little bitty gap, and so now it just helps clean this edge up before it sits against the diamond, because now the diamond's not going to move. But now, while I've still got a little gap here, I'm going to take a file and just kind of smooth everything, then I'll drive them home. So now, because there's a little gap, because these prongs are square on the ends here, and it's real hard to clean and polish, so this is just a pro tip for all you diamond setters out there, that before you drive that prong home, do all of your cleanup before it touches the stone. So now I'll just do that 5 more times, and then we'll drive them home. All right, we're just going to now take these prongs and drive them all the way home, all the way against that diamond, and make sure it's super tight.